All right, today we're diving deep into a really dramatic prophecy from the book of Isaiah. We're going to unpack the tragic fall of the ancient nation of Moab, focusing specifically on what's said in Isaiah chapter 16, verses 6 through 14.
So, verse 6 just gets right to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? This one sentence lays it all out on the table and reveals the fatal flaw that's about to seal Moab's fate, this overwhelming, all-consuming pride. Here's how we're going to break this down. We'll follow the tragic story of Moab's downfall in 4 parts, really tracing it from the pride that started it all, right through to the prophecy's absolutely devastating final word.
So let's start there. The prophecy doesn't mince words at all. It makes it crystal clear that it's Moab's own excessive pride that directly brings about its judgment.
And just look at the words used to describe this pride. This isn't just about being confident, it's called haughtiness and wrath. This level of arrogance led Moab to totally reject any wise counsel and to live in this really dangerous bubble of self-deception.
And this next phrase shows the direct consequence of that pride. But his lies shall not be so. Wow. That is such a powerful statement. It basically means that all of Moab's arrogant plans, all their boasts, everything born from that pride, it's all destined to fail. It's all going to amount to nothing.
Okay, so now that we know why this is all happening, the prophecy shifts gears. It moves from the cause, the pride, to the effect, the heartbreaking sound of an entire kingdom in mourning.
Listen to the repetition here in verse 7. Moab shall howl for Moab. That's not just poetic language. It's suggesting this universal echoing sorrow. One part of the nation is literally mourning for another, creating this devastating chorus of grief all across the land.
And the specific mention of Kir-Hareset? That's absolutely crucial. This wasn't just any city. It was a key fortress deep in Moab's southern heartland. So its fall was a symbol of total, undeniable defeat. If Kir-Hareset is gone, it means the invaders have conquered pretty much everything.
Now the prophecy kind of zooms in. It starts painting this incredibly vivid picture of destruction as it just sweeps across the land. And it's targeting the very source of Moab's prosperity, its famous vineyards.
In verses 8 and 9, you can almost trace the path of destruction on a map. You see this clear military progression as the invading army marches from the northern city of Heshbon down through the central vinelands and all the way south, systematically wiping out everything. And this is such a powerful contrast, right? Verse 10 describes how all the gladness and joyful shouting you'd hear during a bountiful harvest season, it's all just gone, replaced by silence. The vineyards are empty, the wine presses are still, and all those songs have turned into this overwhelming sorrow and lament. And then, in verse 11, there's this really powerful and deeply personal shift. The prophet Isaiah himself expresses his own grief. This isn't some gloating, triumphant declaration of doom. No, it's a tragedy. And he feels it so deeply that he says his inward parts are vibrating with sorrow, just like the strings of a harp.
And that brings us to the final judgment. This is the part of the oracle where any last shred of hope is just completely removed and a stark, unchangeable timeline is delivered.
So imagine this. Verse 12 describes the people of Moab. They're exhausted, they're desperate, and they finally turn to their high places, their sanctuaries, to pray for deliverance. But it's totally futile. Their false gods are completely powerless. They can't help them.
And then, in verse 14, the prophecy delivers this stunningly precise timeline. It's not someday, it's not soon. It says within 3 years. This just removes all ambiguity and turns a general warning into an imminent and very specific countdown.
And to make sure we get just how exact this is, the text uses this incredible phrase, as the years of an hireling. Think about it. A hired worker serves for an exact agreed-upon amount of time. No more, no less. That's how fixed and inescapable this 3-year countdown is.
So what's the end result? Well, the final verse lays it out in no uncertain terms. This isn't just a military defeat. It is a complete and total humiliation. Moab's glory, all its wealth, its power, its people, will be despised. And the few who manage to survive will just be a very small and feeble remnant of a once proud nation.
And so, this ancient oracle leaves us with a really provocative and honestly timeless question. It connects the fate of Moab to a pattern that we see throughout history, and maybe even in our own lives. When a person's or a nation's pride leads directly to their own ruin, what, if any, value is actually left behind?